The Old North Church, a documentary by Melanie Bruno. The Old North Church was founded in 1722, also known as Christ Church. The first Mass was held in 1723. It is also Boston's oldest standing church. This is the area around the church. It is located in Boston's North End at 193 Salem Street. As you can see in this picture, the streets are very narrow.
Section of the building that dates back to the 1700s. Starting in 1723, the first part of the building was actually just the sanctuary. The tower, brick tower, and the steeple above actually comes a few years later.
The organ I mentioned dates back to 1759. It was the very first organ made entirely in the American colonies, and they still play it every Sunday at church service. The four angels just in front of it were actually never supposed to be inside our church. They're about 100 years older, and in 1740, they were on their way from France to a Catholic convent in Quebec, when along the way, the ship that they were on was hijacked by a British pirate. This pirate took all the goods back to his home port of Boston, where he proceeded to sell most of them for a pretty nice profit. However, when he found those four angels, he decided that he liked them so much, he wanted to look at them every week. So he decided to donate them to his church, which, lucky for us, just so happened to be Old North. That means we've proudly been displaying stolen pirate treasure for over 260 years. The clock just below them was made in 1726 by two members of our congregation who had never made a clock before, and they would never make another. But they did a pretty good job for their first and only shot at it, for we wanted it once a week, and it still tells good time today. In fact, we believe it to be the oldest still working American-made clock in a public building. Finally, as you go, you will pass by an old cedar chest with the initial CC for Christ Church and the year 1724 carved onto the top of it. This is the church's original document holder and a donation box, and just like the clock and the organ, it too works perfectly today. We are a nonprofit organization, which means we rely 100% on the generosity of our visitors to help keep our doors open and free for generations.
The bells in the church are made out of silver given to the city of Boston from the king of the mother country, which was England. The bells are the oldest in North America. Every Sunday, MIT students ring the bells at the church, just as they always were rung. The bell ringing takes a lot of coordination and a lot of knowledge of music. The Old North Church still has its original pews with the plates of who owned each one nailed to them. Parishioners would buy their own pews for church. They were boxed pews, which were very unique. A boxed pew kept people warmer in the winter. Each family could decorate their own pew according to their style. The closer you were to the front, the more money you had and power in the community. These are some plaques in the church. This is a plaque for the governor. This is a plaque for Captain Joseph Sleege that attended the church. This is a plaque for Captain William Maxwell. This is a plaque for Captain Henry Franklin. And this is a plaque for the doctor, Dr. George Pemberton. On December 29, 1723, Dr. Timothy Cutler, the chapel's first minister and Yale's first president, delivered the church's first sermon and continued to serve the church years after that. The Old North Church wasn't just a place of prayer, but it was also a place where people could talk importance and gossip in the town. In a way, a meeting place. There are 1,100 bodies buried in 37 tombs in the crypt that were constructed between 1732, and 1860. Buried down there are soldiers from Bunker Hill and other famous battles. Whom was also buried in the crypt was Major John Pitcairn, whom was a British Marine officer who was stationed in Boston at the start of the American Revolutionary War. He signaled 700 British soldiers to begin their secret mission to conquer to seize ammunition. The most famous person that was involved in the Old North Church was Paul Revere. As a child, he found himself a job as a bell ringer for the Old North Church. Later, he would soon be back there for his midnight ride. The Old North Church wasn't just a church. It was the only place in the whole world that signaled the start of the Revolutionary War in the colonies. On April 18, 1775, it was the eve of the Revolutionary War, which would later start the next day on April 19th. Tension between the colonists and the British had been building up because of different acts and laws. On the night of April 18th, hundreds of British troops sent out on their secret mission to march to Concord to seize weapons and ammunition by the orders of General Gage. Word of the secret mission was exposed, so Paul Revere, a member of the Sons of Liberty, William Dawes, and Sam Prescott traveled separate routes from Boston to Lexington to warn the colonists that the British were on their way. Paul Revere was worried he might be captured by the British before he could leave Boston, so he organized a backup plan. He arranged for a lantern signal to be hung from the steeple of the Old North Church, which was Boston's tallest building at the time. Revere asked Captain John Pulling Jr. and Robert Newman, whom was the church sexton at the time, to hang the lanterns at Old North. They hung 2 lanterns because the British were traveling through the Charles River, which is where we get the saying, "One if by land, 2 if by sea." Revere's backup plan using the signal lanterns was successful, but unnecessary. It did warn the colonists that the British were coming. Paul Revere's midnight ride inspired a famous poem written by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. He said to his friend, if the British march by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church Tower as a signal light, 1 if by land and 2 if by sea.
The Old North Church wasn't just a church, it was truly the start of the American Revolution, that in which gave us our freedom that we have today.